I stood shivering on the mansion steps in nothing but my nightgown, my mother-in-law's words still ringing in my ears. "You're nothing! Get out!" Behind me, the door slammed shut. I had nowhere to go. No money. No phone. But what happened next? Even I didn't see it coming. Before we dive into my story, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. This story has more twists than a roller coaster, and the revenge? Chef's kiss. Now let me take you back to where it all began. My name is Mia, and I used to be a kindergarten teacher. Simple life, simple dreams. I never imagined I'd fall in love with someone like Andrew Bennett. We met at a children's charity event where I was volunteering, reading stories to kids. I looked up from the book, and there he was, this tall, handsome man in an expensive suit, watching me with the softest smile. Later, he told me that was the moment he knew. He said I had this light around me, this genuine warmth that his world desperately lacked. Our romance was like something out of a movie. Coffee dates that turned into 4-hour conversations. Long walks where we'd talk about everything and nothing. Andrew was different from what I expected. Yes, he was a billionaire businessman, but with me, he was just Andrew. Vulnerable, funny, real. He warned me about his family, though. "They're cold, Mia," he said one evening, holding my hand. "They've forgotten what love actually means, but I promise you, I'll always protect you." I believed him. God, how I believed him. The wedding happened faster than I expected. Looking back, I should have seen the red flags. Catherine, Andrew's mother, insisted on a small, intimate ceremony. She said big weddings were tacky, but I saw the truth in her eyes during our vows, pure disgust that she barely bothered to hide. She didn't think I was good enough for her son. I wasn't from their world of designer clothes and country clubs. I was just a kindergarten teacher who wore the same 3 dresses on rotation. We moved into the Bennett mansion temporarily while our own house was being prepared. That's when I met the rest of Andrew's family. Amanda, his sister, looked me up and down like I was something stuck to her shoe. George, his father, was cold but civil. He only cared about business and stock numbers. But the worst was Jessica. Jessica was Andrew's cousin, a stunning blonde with legs for days and a fashion designer label to her name. She walked into that mansion like she owned it, air-kissed Andrew on both cheeks, and then turned to me with this smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, Andrew," she purred, "she's quaint. How refreshing." The way she said quaint made it sound like an insult wrapped in silk. Catherine and Amanda immediately gravitated toward her. The unholy trinity was complete. Life in that mansion became my personal hell, and it happened so gradually that I didn't even realize I was drowning until I couldn't breathe anymore. It started small. My food would arrive cold while everyone else's was steaming hot. "Oh, the kitchen must have made a mistake," Catherine would say with fake concern. Amanda would have loud conversations about designer bags and shoes, always making sure I could hear. "I mean, who wears department store clothes anymore?" she'd laugh. But Jessica? Jessica was different. She was subtle, calculated, dangerous. She was always around, always touching Andrew's arm, always bringing up memories from their childhood. "Remember our trip to Paris, Andrew? God, we had so much fun." Or, "Andrew, didn't we used to sneak out to that little cafe? We should go again sometime." And Andrew, exhausted from 16-hour workdays, would smile politely, not seeing the game she was playing, not seeing how each memory was a knife in my heart. I found her lipstick in Andrew's car once. My hands shook as I held it. When I asked him about it, he looked confused. "Oh, Jessica borrowed my car last week. She probably left it there." So simple, so innocent. But was it? I started doubting everything, even my own sanity. I tried so hard to fit in, to win their approval. I cooked elaborate meals that Catherine would taste and then push aside. "Too much salt, dear." I cleaned, I helped, I smiled until my face hurt. Nothing worked. I was invisible when they wanted me to be, and a target when they wanted entertainment. Then Jessica moved into the mansion. "Just while my apartment's being remodeled, darling," she announced, sweeping in with 7 suitcases. Suddenly, every breakfast became a fashion show. She'd float down in designer robes while I sat there in my simple pajamas. Every dinner became a trip down memory lane. "Andrew, remember when we—" Always touching him, always laughing at inside jokes I'd never understand. Catherine encouraged it. I heard her once telling Jessica, "You two would have made perfect sense. Same background, same breeding, same world." The implication was clear. I was the mistake that needed to be corrected. Andrew was my only refuge, but he was barely home. The business was expanding, and his father demanded more and more of his time. When he was home, he was exhausted, collapsing into bed. "Things will get better, Mia," he'd promise, kissing my forehead. "Once the merger goes through, I'll have more time. I'll make this right." But the merger kept getting delayed, and the promises started feeling empty. Everything exploded the night of Catherine's important business dinner. She was hosting potential investors, and everything had to be perfect. I wore my best dress, a simple cream-colored one I'd bought for the wedding. Jessica arrived in a stunning red designer gown that probably cost more than I made in a year. The way Andrew's eyes widened when he saw her. I died a little inside. The catering company messed up the order. I watched Catherine's face turn pale as she realized dinner was ruined. Without thinking, I volunteered to cook. I spent 3 hours in that kitchen, preparing a meal from scratch while the family entertained upstairs. My hands were burned, my hair was a mess, but I did it. The investors raved about the food. "Magnificent," they said. Andrew squeezed my hand under the table, proud. But Jessica took the credit. "Oh, Mia helped a little in the kitchen," she said with a modest smile, as if she'd been the mastermind. The investors congratulated her. Catherine beamed at her. I was invisible again, even in my own victory. The next morning, Catherine's priceless heirloom necklace went missing. I was in the garden when I heard the screaming. Amanda had found it in my room, tucked in my drawer. I ran inside to find Catherine having a complete breakdown. "My mother's necklace! How could you? I welcomed you into my home, and you stole from me." I couldn't breathe. I would never— Amanda's voice was sharp with accusation. "It was in your room, Mia. How do you explain that?" Jessica put her hand on my shoulder and I flinched. "Maybe she didn't mean to," she said softly, playing the peacemaker. "Financial stress makes people do desperate things. Andrew, perhaps Mia needs help." Andrew arrived late from work, walking into this nightmare. His mother was crying, his sister was accusing, his cousin was defending me in a way that made me look even more guilty. And me? I was standing there, trembling, begging him to believe me. "Just tell me the truth, Mia," he said, and his voice was tired. So tired. That's when my heart broke. Not shattered. Broke. Quietly. Devastatingly. Completely. He doubted me. After everything, he actually doubted me. The necklace mysteriously appeared in Jessica's room an hour later. "Oh my God!" Jessica gasped. "Amanda must have put it there by mistake when she was looking for it." Everyone laughed it off. Just a silly misunderstanding. But no one apologized to me. No one. That night, alone in our bedroom, I cried until I had no tears left. And that's when I realized I was pregnant. I'd suspected for a week but hadn't confirmed it. My hands shook as I took the test. 2 pink lines. I was going to have a baby. I should have been happy, but all I felt was fear. Would this child grow up watching their mother being humiliated? Would they learn that love means looking the other way when someone you care about is being destroyed? I bought a tiny pair of baby shoes the next day, planning to surprise Andrew. Maybe a baby would change things. Maybe it would make us a real family. Maybe his family would finally accept me if I gave them a grandchild. But then I overheard them. I was walking past the study when I heard Catherine's voice. "That girl needs to go before she traps him with a baby." Jessica's laugh was like ice. "Don't worry, Aunt Catherine. Andrew and I have history. I just need time." "The business merger with the Thornton family would be perfect," Catherine continued. "Their daughter is everything we need. educated, connected, wealthy. Forget her, Jessica said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. Andrew will come to me. He always does. I stood there in the hallway, one hand on my stomach, the other covering my mouth to stop the sob from escaping. They were planning to get rid of me. They were plotting to destroy my marriage. And Andrew had no idea. I decided to tell everyone at breakfast. I'd announce my pregnancy, and maybe, just maybe, it would change everything. I was so naive. The next morning, I came down to find the whole family at the table. Even George was there, which was rare. I sat down, the baby shoes hidden in my lap, my heart pounding. But before I could speak, Catherine cleared her throat. Andrew, she said, her voice formal. The Thornton family has approached us about a merger. They're very interested in combining our businesses. She paused. And a marriage between you and their daughter, Eleanor. The room went silent. I felt like I'd been slapped. Andrew's coffee cup froze halfway to his mouth. Mother, I'm already married. Catherine's laugh was cruel. To her? Andrew, be serious. That was a youthful mistake. This is business. This is about the family legacy. I stood up, my chair scraping loudly. I'm pregnant. You could have heard a pin drop. All eyes turned to me. I saw shock, calculation, and in Catherine's eyes, pure rage. You scheming little gold digger, she screamed, standing up so fast her chair fell back. You planned this. You got pregnant to trap my son. Amanda's voice was venomous. It's probably not even his baby. But it was Jessica's reaction that hurt the most. Her mask slipped completely. Andrew, she said, her voice desperate, you can't actually want a child with her. I looked at Andrew, my husband, the man who promised to protect me, and I waited for him to defend me, to stand up for me, to choose me. He sat there, frozen, his face pale with shock. That hesitation, that one moment of silence, cost him everything. I ran up the stairs into our bedroom and started packing. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely fold clothes. I heard footsteps behind me. I thought it was Andrew. I thought he'd come to apologize, to explain, to fix this. It was Catherine, with Amanda and Jessica right behind her. What happened next? I still have nightmares about it. Catherine grabbed my suitcase and dumped everything out. You take nothing from this house. She tore through my clothes, ripping my favorite dress. Amanda snatched the baby shoes from the bed. How pathetic, she laughed, throwing them in the trash. Did you really think a baby would make you one of us? Jessica just stood there with her arms crossed, watching. Did you really think you'd fit into our world, Mia? You're a kindergarten teacher. You're nobody. They surrounded me, 3 women, all taller, all stronger, all filled with hate. Catherine started pulling at my clothes. You're leaving with nothing, just like you came. Stop, I screamed. Please, I'm pregnant. That, Catherine hissed, is exactly why you need to leave. They stripped me down to my nightgown. I was crying, begging, but they didn't care. Amanda grabbed my arm, Catherine grabbed the other, and they dragged me down the stairs. My feet hit every step. I could feel bruises forming. They threw me out the front door. It was 11 p.m. It was raining. I was barefoot, in just a thin nightgown, and I was pregnant. I banged on the door. Please, Andrew, Andrew! Inside I could hear Jessica's voice. Problem solved. Pour me some wine. The lights went out one by one, and I realized no one was coming for me. I walked through that wealthy neighborhood for hours, past houses with warm lights and happy families, past expensive cars parked in driveways. Not a single person stopped to help the barefoot woman in a nightgown. I guess I looked like a problem they didn't want to deal with. I finally collapsed on a bench in a small park. I was beyond tears. I was numb, soaked, shivering. I wrapped my arms around my stomach, trying to protect the baby inside me. You planning to sleep here, honey? A raspy voice startled me. An elderly woman sat on the other end of the bench, covered in newspapers and old blankets. Her name was Ruth, I'd learn later. "I have nowhere else to go," I whispered. She studied me for a long moment, then unwrapped one of her blankets and draped it over my shoulders. "Men in fancy suits threw me out, too. 20 years ago. What's your story?" And I told her. Everything. The whole humiliating, heartbreaking story. When I finished, Ruth was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "That baby inside you, that's your strength now. Not him, not them, you." Her words settled over me like armor. She was right. I had to survive. Not for Andrew, not for revenge, but for the tiny life depending on me. I don't know how long I sat there, maybe an hour, maybe 3. Time felt meaningless, but then I heard running footsteps and someone calling my name. "M.I.A., M.E.A.!" I looked up and saw Andrew. He was soaked from the rain, his hair plastered to his forehead, his expensive suit ruined. He was carrying his phone, the screen still lit up. He skidded to a stop when he saw me. I watched his face crumble. He took in my torn nightgown, my bare feet bloody from walking, Ruth's blanket around my shoulders and my swollen eyes. He fell to his knees in front of me. "Mia, God, Mia, I'm so sorry." I just stared at him, empty. Ruth spoke up. "This your fancy husband?" Andrew didn't take his eyes off me. "I saw the cameras. I saw everything they did to you. The baby— Mia, we're having a baby?" My voice came out hollow. "You hesitated. When they attacked me, you hesitated." Tears were streaming down his face now. I froze. I was shocked about the pregnancy. I was shocked about everything. But Mia, I love you. I love our baby. Please. "Love protects," I said quietly. "Love fights. You did neither." "I'm fighting now," he said desperately. "Let me fight now. Please, let me make this right." Ruth snorted. "Words are cheap, Suit. What you gonna do?" Andrew looked at her, then back at me. "Everything. I'm going to do everything." He wrapped his coat around me and tried to pick me up, but I flinched. "Don't touch me." The pain in his eyes was real. "Then I'll walk beside you, whatever you need. But please, Mia, don't stay out here. Think of the baby." That got through to me. Not his pain, not his promises, but the baby. I needed medical attention. I needed to make sure my baby was okay. I stood up, unsteady. Ruth squeezed my hand. "You're stronger than you know, honey." Andrew drove us back to the mansion. I sat as far from him as possible, staring out the window. When we pulled up, all the lights were on. Catherine, Amanda, and Jessica were in the living room, drinking wine and laughing. They went silent when we walked in. Andrew's voice was cold, colder than I'd ever heard it. "Pack your things, all of you." Catherine laughed. "Excuse me?" "This house," Andrew said slowly, "was transferred to my name 2 years ago. Father gave it to me when I became CEO. I let you stay out of respect." He paused. "That ends now. You have 1 hour." Jessica jumped up. "Andrew, you're upset. Let's talk about this." "Don't," he said, his voice deadly quiet. "Don't you dare try to manipulate me. I saw the cameras, Jessica. All of them. I know you took that necklace. I know you've been plotting to break up my marriage. I know everything." Amanda's face went pale. "You can't do this. We're family." Andrew laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You threw my pregnant wife into the street. You beat her. You humiliated her. You're not family. You're monsters." Catherine tried one more time. "Andrew, think about what you're doing. The business—" "I've been documenting everything," Andrew interrupted. "Every cruel comment, every setup, every lie. I was gathering evidence for when Mia was ready to leave you all. His voice cracked. "I didn't think you'd go this far. I didn't think you'd actually hurt her." George appeared in the doorway. He took one look at the situation and sighed. "Catherine, pack your things. This is bad for business." That's all he cared about. Business. I watched as the 3 women who'd tormented me for months were forced to leave. Jessica tried to approach Andrew one more time. "We're family, Andrew. We've known each other our whole lives. Mia is my family, Andrew said firmly. That baby is my family. You're nothing to me now. The doors closed behind them, and suddenly the huge mansion felt quiet, peaceful almost. Andrew turned to me. I've called a doctor. She's on her way to check on you and the baby. Whatever you need, whatever you want, I'll do it. If you want to leave, I'll help you. If you want to stay and make me earn back your trust, I'll spend every day proving myself. Just, please tell me you and the baby are okay. I looked at this man I'd married. He'd failed me when I needed him most, but he'd also driven through the rain to find me. He'd thrown out his entire family for me. Actions, my mother used to say, speak louder than words. I want our own house, I said quietly. Away from here, away from all these memories. Done, he said immediately. We'll start looking tomorrow. And therapy, for both of us, together. Whatever you need. And if you ever hesitate to protect me or our child again, I looked him dead in the eyes. I'm gone. No second chances. Understood, he whispered. The doctor arrived and checked me over. The baby was fine. Resilient, she said, just like her mother. 3 months passed. Andrew kept every promise. We moved into a beautiful house, smaller than the mansion but warmer. He worked from home 3 days a week. We went to therapy twice a week. Slowly, painfully, I learned to trust him again. He showed me the recordings he'd been keeping, months of footage showing Catherine's cruelty, Amanda's manipulation, Jessica's plotting. I was building a case, he explained. I thought you'd leave me once you'd had enough, and I wanted to make sure you got everything in the divorce. I was protecting you just the wrong way. I should have stopped them sooner. I should have gotten us out sooner. Our daughter, Sophie, was born on a Tuesday morning, 7 pounds, 3 ounces of pure perfection. Andrew cried when he held her. I'm going to be better for her, he promised. I'm going to show her what a man should be. Catherine tried to visit. Andrew's secretary informed her she wasn't welcome. Amanda sent gifts. We donated them. Jessica called, crying, saying her fashion line had failed without the family connections. Andrew hung up. 1 year after that horrible night, everything came full circle. George called Andrew in a panic. Catherine had been managing some of the family investments, and she'd made terrible decisions. The Bennett family business was on the verge of collapse. They needed Andrew's signature on crucial documents to save the company. More importantly, they needed his money. Catherine, Amanda, and Jessica showed up at our door. I was holding Sophie, who just learned to smile. Andrew stood behind me, his hand on my shoulder. They looked different, humbled. Catherine's designer clothes were from last season. Amanda had stress lines around her eyes. Jessica looked like she'd aged 5 years. Andrew, Catherine said, her voice small. We need help. The company— I know, Andrew said calmly. Father called. Please, Amanda added. We'll lose everything. Jessica didn't speak, just looked at Andrew with pleading eyes. They all turned to me, waiting, because somehow they knew the decision was mine. I looked at these 3 women who'd called me nothing, who'd thrown me into the rain while I was pregnant, who'd tried to destroy my marriage and my life. You threw me out in the rain, I said softly. Pregnant, barefoot. I had nowhere to go. Catherine's eyes filled with tears. Mia, please. I begged you to stop, I continued. I begged you to show mercy. Do you remember what you said, Catherine? She couldn't meet my eyes. You said, that's exactly why you need to leave. You said that about my pregnancy, about your grandchild. Amanda was crying now, too. We were wrong. We were so wrong. I looked at Andrew. He squeezed my shoulder. Your call, Mia. Whatever you decide, I support you. The power in that moment was intoxicating. I could destroy them. I could let the company crash. I could take everything from them like they'd tried to take everything from me. But then Sophie cooed in my arms, and I remembered Ruth's words. That baby is your strength. Andrew will save the company, I said. For the hundreds of employees who did nothing wrong. For the families who depend on those jobs. Relief flooded their faces. But, I continued, my voice hardening. You three will sign over all your shares to a charity, specifically to a shelter for homeless women and children. The relief vanished. That's everything we have, Jessica whispered. Then you'll know exactly how I felt, I said. Standing on that street with nothing, in the cold, alone. Catherine looked like she might faint. Mia, please, we're family. No, I cut her off. Sophie is family, Andrew is family. You? You're people I used to know who did horrible things. Sign the papers or watch everything burn. Your choice. They signed. All three of them, their hands shaking, signing away their wealth to help women like me. Women they'd looked down on their entire lives. When they finished, I walked to the door and opened it. Now get out. You're not welcome in my home. They left without another word. I closed the door and leaned against it, holding Sophie close. Andrew wrapped his arms around both of us. I am so proud of you, he whispered. They didn't break me, I said, and I realized it was true. They tried to destroy me, but they just made me stronger. That's my story. From standing on mansion steps in a nightgown with nothing, to standing in my own home with everything that matters. They thought they were throwing out the trash. Instead, they threw away their last chance at redemption. Sometimes the worst night of your life is actually the beginning of your best life. Sometimes the people who try to destroy you end up building you into someone unbreakable. If this story gave you chills, slam that like button. Comment karma. If you believe what goes around comes around, subscribe because trust me, I've got more stories that'll blow your mind. Remember, never let anyone dim your light. You teach people how to treat you, and sometimes the best revenge is becoming someone they can never touch again. I'm Mia, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong.